Hi folks, it's Gary here and a very warm welcome to the fourth official here live on YouTube this Wednesday night. And tonight we are talking Tav, the Rangers captain, one of the most polarising figures in Rangers history. And joining me to speak about him is a man who is uh, certainly no stranger to us here at the fourth official, and also no stranger to talking about James Tavernier. And it's the wonderful Scott Bradley. Scott, how are we?
I'm very well, guys. Very well. It's good to be back on, and of course, Rangers are doing well. So yeah, life's good, mate. Life's good. How are you?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're just saying off air, it's been a lot easier to do this show, both here on YouTube and obviously over on our Patreon network as well of late. It was a bit of a chore at the start of the season where we were struggling under Russell Martin, and the games were really, really difficult. It was hard to get yourself up for the conversation. Certainly hard enough watching the football, let alone then talking about it straight after it. But we're starting to see signs that obviously Danny Rowell's getting Rangers motoring. We've got a really interesting maybe four-way title race between now and the end of the season, and I think plenty of twists and turns to come.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think this season's it's been amazing. It's been a great advert for Scottish football as well, because I don't think anyone could have predicted at the start of the campaign that Hearts would be top mid-February. It's been insane. And even when you look at the game at the weekend, it was box office. So it was obviously delighted Rangers won 4-2, but Hearts, they've been the story of the season. There's been so many twists and turns. Like also when you look at the Old Firm as well, I can't recall the Old Firm being so bad. And Hearts have took full advantage of that, and credit to them. But yeah, it is a good time to be a Rangers fan, because I think a few months ago, I think a lot of people actually wrote Rangers off after the Russell Martin debacle, where they were like, right, there's no chance Rangers will get back into this title race. But Danny Rowe has been phenomenal. He's done a superb job, and he deserves a lot of credit, because I think a lot of people, guys, before Rowe was appointed, they were like, okay, is this going to be another Russell Martin? And rightly so, a lot of Rangers fans had their guard up. I did too. So I was like, okay, I was very underwhelmed because we didn't get Steven Gerrard. So I was like, okay, wait and see what Danny Rowe does. But yeah, he's a complete opposite from Russell Martin. And yeah, I think, honestly, guys, I feel as though it's Rangers' league to lose. I really do. I don't want to get too optimistic, right? I'm the worst for it. But right now, I do believe Rangers are in a very good situation where I can't see them messing this one up, even though Rangers have done it in the past, like under Philippe Clement, where Rangers should have won the league that year. But this time round, it just feels different. The atmosphere at Ibrox on Sunday, guys, was like the fans believe it now. Usually as well, like we all know Rangers fans love to be negative. It's like their favourite thing to do. But on Sunday, even when Rangers were losing 2-1, the fans were encouraging the players. Even if a player made misplaced a pass, they were still like, oh, come on, like clapping, trying to get them going. And I really did like that. And Ibrox on Sunday was a really special place to be. It was one of the best atmospheres I've experienced at Ibrox in a long time. But yeah, Rangers,
and it was needed. It was needed, and I think it's needed again multiple times between now and the end of the season. With Rangers fighting on two fronts, not only for a league title but also for a Scottish Cup as well. And obviously, the reason why we're here, Scott, is to obviously talk about the Rangers captain. And I think we're all in agreement that for the servant that James Tavernier has been for Rangers, the one thing that's probably lacking from that CV is him waving shiny things at the Rangers support. And I think for him, from a legacy point of view, given that he's out of contract this summer, the opportunity to maybe wave one, maybe two trophies at the Rangers support before the end of the season would be an ideal way to cement a legacy, and maybe be a good time to say, right, thanks very much, I've done what I've been here for. Knowing Tav, I think the way we all do, no one wants that experience in front of fans, because we all know 55 was brilliant, but it was in front of empty stadiums, and they didn't quite have the same feeling as much as we were all there and enjoying it on RTV and on Paisley Road West on that evening. Doing it in front of a full stadium is a completely different kettle of fish.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I think you're spot on what you said about Tav in terms of obviously he's lacking trophies, right? But that's not entirely his fault, because I've always said one thing about Tav is he's a winner who's always been surrounded by losers throughout his whole Rangers career. And I've always said as well, if you put Barry Ferguson in some of the Rangers teams Tav's played in, he would have won the same amount of trophies. But yeah, it's not Tav's fault that he has been surrounded by dross. But in terms of his future, personally, guys, I would like to see him stay one more year. And I'm not saying he should start every single game next season, far from it, right? Because he is going to be 35. And Rangers need to start looking long term in terms of like, we need to get a replacement in for Tav, right? But when you've got someone like Tav who's never injured, always fit, always reliable, he's still the best right back in the league. And he's going to be very difficult to replace. And so far this season, I think he's been pretty good. Rangers top goal scorer with 13 goals. Yeah, he's had the odd moment here and there, but I still feel as though he has a big part to play, even going into next season. And that's one thing as well, where people always say, yes, serial loser, all that kind of thing, right? And that he's not a captain, not captain material. I would rather listen to people like Steven Gerrard, one of the best captains of all time, who gave Tav the armband. He rates him. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst guided his side, guided his country to a World Cup final. He rates Tav. Barry Ferguson, one of the best captains to ever grace British football. He rates Tav. So all these guys who have managed Rangers and worked with Tav all adore him. All the players who have played with Tav adore him. So Tav is a proper leader, and the players look up to him. And I feel as though he is hugely important, even going into next season. So personally, I would like to give him a new deal, just at least one more year, and then we can take it from there. Because yeah, he still does have a big part to play. And this season, he's been, as I said, he's been pretty good. And last season, he obviously had a bad start. We all know that, but he didn't have a pre-season under his belt. But I think James Tavernier most definitely is a Rangers legend. And as Connor Goldson said, people won't really appreciate James Tavernier until he's no longer at the club, because what he's done for Rangers, guys, it's been remarkable. Like, he's a high-scoring British defender of all time. That Europa League run was iconic. If it wasn't for Tav, Rangers never would have made that final. And he always steps up. Like when Rangers are struggling, he always tries to bail Rangers out. He never hides. And when it comes to penalties as well, what more can be said? What more can be said? I don't think you'll get a better penalty taker in Scottish football history than James Tavernier.
Davy Martindale says Tav does what Tav does, and we've seen that throughout this year. I think he's gone from being a player who's the first name on the team sheet to now someone who can come in and out the side where it's required. And I think there was no more evidence of that on Sunday. Obviously, big game, top of the league against Hearts. Doesn't start the game, do you on Sterling starting, but Tav coming on as a sub with half an hour to go, he was able to use his experience, use that bit of kind of nous to kind of see Rangers over the line in a big game to get us at the lead. And I think that's the part that I think Tav has to play this year. I think he's no longer got the ability to go up and down the line for 90 minutes every 3 days, playing 60 games a season like he's done. He's got an awful lot of miles on the clock. He's been a very, very durable player for the vast majority of his Rangers career. But I think we'll see him now with Rangers predominantly playing one game a week between now and the end of the season. I think we've only got a couple of midweek games really between now and the end of the year, given that we're now out of Europe. So we can probably manage him and manage the squad around him, like Jon Sterling particularly, and almost have the two of them share that position between now and the end of the season, and utilise Sterling where you need someone that's maybe got a bit more pace, a bit more physicality, but then when the time comes to have someone that's maybe a bit more reliable, someone that obviously can see over the line, but has got that ability to see the game out for you. I still think he's probably got the best delivery in the squad, especially given Connor Barron being injured at the moment. So when Tav isn't there, you miss him in terms of his set plays. But he's gone from being the man where everything went through him to now being part of a squad. And I think really for the first time in a long time, James Tavernier is one of many now in the Rangers side, as opposed to the main guy that everything goes through.
Yeah, well, I think you make a good point, because for years he's carried Rangers. James Tavernier's carried Rangers, and it's crazy to think that a right back has been the guy that's been our top goal scorer over the years. And I remember as well the season Rangers won the League Cup, Tav scored like 19, 20 goals or something, where Rangers were just really lacking in that final third, where Tav was the one bailing us out time and time again. I mean, even when you look at that League Cup final where against Aberdeen, where Rangers were really struggling to create anything, and Tav was like, you know what, F this, I'm going to bomb forward and try and get us a goal, and that's exactly what he done. But yeah, I think you do make a good point now where we're not relying on Tav, which is good. And I think it takes the pressure off Tav a bit more, because I think at times he must have felt it where it's like, God, man, like, I'm carrying this side here. Whereas now, obviously, he's still a regular starter for Rangers, but we're managing these minutes really, really well because even though Tav says, yeah, I can play every single game, like I don't think it was good for him over the years. But I remember, what was it, the season we made the Europa League final? I think he played about
65 games.
62.
Yeah,
Like,
65
wow.
games, yeah.
Yeah,
Mental.
because he's been playing like 50 to 60 games like over the last 10 years or so. And now he's starting to get a bit of a rest where he's now, as you say, he's part of a squad now and he can just do his thing. And that's exactly what we need him for. And that's why I do think it is essential, in my opinion, why we give him a new deal for next season, because his experience is going to be so key. He knows the club inside out. He's a Rangers legend. And we still need him in amongst the squad going into the next, going into the next campaign, because he is still so important.
I think the thing for me on it, Scott, in terms of for next season, I think how this season ends will dictate an awful lot of what happens next year. Because if I'm James Tavernier and I'm club captain and I go out this summer out of contract, having won the league, won the cup, he might look at that and go, you know what, now's the right time to say thanks very much. And the Rangers support will probably go, thanks very much. Thank you for your service. You've delivered another trophy. You've delivered another championship. They can probably sit back and appreciate what James Tavernier has done for us. If Rangers don't win the league this year, then it's maybe a different story going into next year, because there'll still be that bit of unfinished business that I think Tav will want to try and do to get as a trophy before he leaves. But I think for me, if Rangers do win the league, especially the league and maybe the Scottish Cup as well, it might just be time for him to go, you know what, thanks very much. And I don't think MD would blame him for that.
No, I do get that point, but from what I've heard, Tal's really, really happy at Rangers, and I know he wants to stay because he's obviously family settled. Kids love it up here. He loves it in Scotland, despite all the abuse that he gets. But I think as well. Like, I know he might be like, yeah, that'd be the perfect way to end my Rangers career. A couple trophies in the bag, a league title. I get the perfect ending to his Rangers career. I get that kind of narrative, but I think he wants more, because I think deep down it eats away. It really does eat away at him, the fact he's not won more, because that's one thing people always label at him. It's like, yeah, he's not winning our trophies. It's like, yeah, football's a team game. Like, he just can't do it all by himself. There's only so much he can do. But if he played in some of the teams, like some of the great Rangers teams, he would have been decorated with trophies. But when you just look at his numbers and what he's done for the club, it's sensational. And that's why I do feel sorry for him, because, as I said, I feel as though he's a winner who's been surrounded by losers his whole Rangers career, and he's just played around with some absolute dross. But as I said, I would like to see him stay for next season. And yes, I do get the fairy tale ending where it's like, yeah, 2 trophies in the bag, but at least he'll be like, no, I want more. I want more. I like especially with what Rangers are doing right now, because even though this is an average squad, but Rangers have got a good manager and Danny Rowe. And when it comes to the summer, I think I wouldn't say it'll be a total rebuild, but a lot of players will move on, because Danny Rowe will want his own players in, and I think Danny Rowe wants to have to be a part of that. So, because I do think Danny Rowe will want to have to stay, but I think it'll really come down to, like, I think Tav will want to be playing a lot. I think he'll want to be playing a lot more. I don't think he'll just want to be a bench warmer every single game. I think he'll be doing what he's doing right now. Where, for example, if Rangers have got 2-3 games a week, if he starts one, he'll be fine with that. Then come on for the second game that Rangers have during the week. So yeah, I think obviously we need to manage his minutes, because even though he can say, yeah, I can play every single game, we all know Valentine catches up. So it does.
Yeah. It's a different story to me to somebody like Davy Weir, because it's a different position. It's full back. Yep. I think we've all seen over the course of the last 18 months that whilst they can fill in and do a job at centre back, none of us really want to see James Tavernier playing centre back for Rangers. We've seen that what happens when you've got actual proper players in those positions, like the emergence of Manny Fernandez this year. I fully expect Rangers to go out and buy a centre half in the summer, whether it's Luke Graham at Dundee, whether it's someone else. But actually, I don't want to see Tav filling in at centre back. I don't really want to see Dujon Sterling filling in at centre back either. I want to see centre backs playing centre back. And it's a different story to Davy Weir, because Davy Weir never had pace to start with. So he could prolong his career by looking after himself. Same as Richard Gough. They weren't naturally fast players anyway, and they had players round about them that could do their running. I think for Tav, he'll play right back until his career ends for me. But he's not that Roberto Carlos, Cafu type that goes up and down the park anymore. He's not got the legs to be able to do that, but he's still got the delivery. He's still got the tactical nous to be able to play that position and come on and give you a bit more in there. And I'd be very surprised if we see much of Max Aarons between now and the end of the season, because if we can keep Dujon Sterling fit, then the two of them can probably rotate that position quite comfortable between now and the end of the year. But for me, going into next season, if you're given to have a new contract as a squad player, not a first starter, you probably need to then start looking and going, well, just now you're getting paid the guts of what, 30 grand a week. You don't really want somebody getting that sort of coin for not being your main man, not being playing every minute of every game. So I think if he does stay, you probably have to look at it and go half your money or whatever like that. And listen, James Tavernier's not struggling by any stretch of the imagination. He's been made a very, very wealthy man by Rangers over the course of the last 10 years. Rangers have been very good to James Tavernier as much as James Tavernier's been very good to Rangers. So I think for me, if he does stay on, it will be at reduced terms.
Yeah, no, I think that could be the stumbling block, but I think he's a smart guy. He'll know that next season, if he's going to be at Rangers still, he'll need to take obviously a cut in wages, because I do agree. I think I don't know how much he's earning, right? But I imagine obviously Tav's like one of the top earners at the club. But that's the thing. If Tav expects to be on the same money that he's on just now, then he's got another thing coming, because Rangers cannot afford to obviously be paying someone like Tav, who's going to be probably a squad player next season, that amount of money. So yeah, he'll know himself that next season he'll need to take a cut in wages. And obviously, as you say, he's made his money. The guy's he's so well off. He's got a great life. So he'll know himself, I'll need to take a wage cut here. And I think he'll be willing to do it. I don't see why he wouldn't want to do it, because he's set for life and he loves it here. As I said, family are very settled. So yeah, I think he will take a wage cut, and obviously that will need to happen. And as I did say as well, Rangers do need to start thinking about who's going to replace Tav, because it's going to be very difficult. Whoever it is, they've got big shoes to fill, because obviously Tav's not got long left. But in terms of replacing him, guys, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult. I remember when we brought Max Aarons in, a lot of people were saying, yeah, he's going to replace Tav. Russell Martin tried to do that. Remember that start of the season? Tried to obviously force Max Aarons into the team. Wasn't working. Then, obviously, we had to go back to Tav, and Tav was the one that was basically bailing Russell Martin out. Obviously, scoring penalties and X, Y, and Z, and obviously contributing to the team. But yeah, that's the thing. Max Aarons has not worked out. Sterling, yeah, I do like Sterling, but is he a Tav replacement? I don't think so. But I do think in the summer, one of the main priorities is, right, we need to get a right back in long term who's going to be able to fill the shoes of James Tavernier. And it's going to be difficult.
Let's hope Stig Inge Bjornaby can identify a Tuur Robbins regen that can play on the right-hand side, because that would be ideal if we can have the two of them together. That would be ideal, because certainly as Robbins has come in on the left back, he looks absolutely the real deal, and the type of character that certainly we would want to have. It's defensively sound, physically very dominant, but can get up and down the park, has got good delivery. And we saw at the weekend with Tuur Robbins that he's got a wee bit about him in terms of a bit of dig and a bit of kind of niggle as well. You saw that after the goal we scored, where he was brought down in the box. And I like that already in him, that he seems to be someone that already has bought into what we're doing. The fans already love him, and I'm not convinced we keep Tuur Robbins for too long, to be fair, but he's one that we'd absolutely want to try and find maybe an identikit of him on the other flank would be ideal.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think all the signings so far, guys, have been really impressive, because Rangers didn't mess about in that transfer window at all, where the 49ers are like, here, we've got a great chance of winning this league. We want Champions League football. So they've went out and they've backed Danny Rowe, and it's really refreshing to see. But Robbins, though, he looks like a breath of fresh air. I'm really excited to see what he can do. A lot of people have compared him to Sasa Papac. I wouldn't go that far just yet, because Rangers fans have got a tendency of getting really excited and overhyping certain signings and whatnot. But no, I think he's been great.
For me, it reminds me of David Robertson more than Sasa Papac, to be fair. Older players that saw David Robertson play, I think there's a lot more similarities there than maybe there is with Sasa Papac. And I loved Sasa Papac, to be fair, but he wasn't a kind of bomb forward as much type player. I think Robbins has certainly got better delivery and will get more assists in his Rangers career than what Papac certainly got. But listen, if you're going to give me 7 out of 10 every week, then yeah, we're going to take it, aren't we?
Yeah, that's it. 100%. And like that's thing as well. When you talk about Papac, he was like so consistent, and Romans, I think he's probably got that a bit about him in that sense as well. Because 7 out of 10, that's all. That's all you want. That's what you want from your defenders as well. But yeah, like when you look at, I just want to bring up Chermiti as well. Like he's when you talk about enigmas, right? We thought Cyril Dessers was enigma. Chermiti, he certainly is that because obviously right after that Old Firm game, I was like, he's going to kick on now, and it didn't really happen. Then the game against Motherwell, where you're like, oh, he's had a nightmare, right? And then Hearts, he was 10 out of 10, got a hat trick, bullied that defence. But yeah, when it comes to Chermiti, though, I really don't know what to make him. I thought Dessers was the most frustrating player to ever wear a Rangers jersey, but Chermiti takes a biscuit in my opinion.
But we'll see what happens. Obviously, got a lot of big games between now and the end of the season, Scott. But I think just the fact that we've got ourselves into the conversation where we're talking about a title challenge, got 11 games to go, 6 games before the split. I think we all know that the way the split games are going to go, we're likely going to have 3 away from Ibrox, 3 difficult away games. Certainly one will be at Parkhead, one will be at Tynecastle. So we know that I think we're going to have a lead, I think, going into that split. So the next 6 games are absolutely vital that we get as close to 18 out of 18 as we can in these 6 games to give ourselves a chance of going into that split with a bit of a lead. And it'll be interesting to see how Danny Rule rotates the squad if he does, because he's done a lot of rotation so far. Maybe too much, in my opinion. Certainly the Motherwell game, I think he managed people's minutes too much rather than going, right, let's put the best team out in the park and win the game and then maybe start resting people. I think he learned from that a bit at the weekend, put his best team on with an aggressive side, going 4-2-4, 2 strikers on the park, and I think already the signs of a Nadiri-Chermiti partnership could bear fruit for us. We need to see it probably away from Ibrox. I don't really worry about us too much of the games at Ibrox, but it's those away games between now and the split, and particularly after the split, that are going to determine where this championship goes. And I think there's certainly ups and downs to come.
Oh yeah, 100%. Even when you look at the game in the first of March, that is huge, right? And I don't want to sound too cocky or get overconfident, but I'm not really worried about that game. I actually fancy Rangers to obviously get the job done against Celtic. And obviously, when you look at the 1st of March to the 8th of March, either Rangers Celtic season could be over at that point when you really think about it, because every game is, I know it's cliche, but every game right now in the league is a cup final. I think that obviously when you look at the result against Motherwell, why the reaction from the Rangers fans was a bit like they were very, very angry by it, because we know like we can't afford to drop points anymore, because it's same with Hearts and Celtic, like every game is massive. But when it comes to the Old Firm game in the 1st of March, I don't think Rangers are going to bottle it. I think Celtic are a poor side, and I know Celtic are scraping by just now, right? And people can say, yeah, they're getting results, but if I was a Celtic fan, I'd be very concerned, because they're scraping by against poor teams. In long term, that's not going to be sustainable at all. Not at all.
Oh,
and people always did say, yeah, Rangers were playing bad under Danny Rowe, but they were getting results. But yeah, that was at the start. Now Rangers are actually, but even when they're winning games, they're doing it in convincing fashion. And when you look at the harmony and right now at Rangers, it's sky high. There's so much positive. There's so much positivity surrounding Rangers right now. When you look, and especially when you look at the 3 clubs, I think Rangers are in the best place right now, even though Hearts are top of the league.
Yeah, well, certainly loads to come, and here on the Fourth Official, here on our YouTube channel, and also over on our Patreon, we'll have you covered between now and the end of the season. Always a pleasure, Scott, to have you on. It's been too long since we've spoken to you. If people want to see more or hear more from you, where can people find you?
So I work for the SNN Sports, and I host the SNN Sports Football Voices podcast with ex-Rangers player John Spencer, and we're doing a podcast this Monday with Dougie Emery. We'll be talking about Dougie's career and talking about all things Scottish football, and it should be a good one, so you can check us out at SNN Sports, and obviously on X, Scott Bradley X, and on TikTok, Scott Bradley X. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for having me on, mate. I appreciate it.
No, not at all. And thank you to you all for checking us out here on the Fourth Official YouTube. We will speak to you very, very soon indeed. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.